All right, welcome everybody. In this video, I want to continue working with scatter plots and smoothers. We have constructed a scatter plot using the penguin's data frame, where we mapped the body mass to the x-axis as the predictor, bill length to the y-axis as the response, and we used species as a color and shape aesthetic, and then we added some smoothers. We added like a linear regression model smoother. And we created a plot that looked like the one above. And so in this plot, the one that we created above, notice that we passed the color and shape species was mapped to the color and shape aesthetics globally in the ggplot commands in our when we created this plot. So this is what we would call globally mapping the aesthetics. So this applied these mappings across all of the geomes. And we can also do a local aesthetic mapping. And this occurs when we specify these mappings in a specific geome. So it's possible to specify an aesthetic mapping in some geomes specifically and not in others. It's also possible to specify an aesthetic mapping that passes through all of the geomes. So in this code cell, when we first created this scatter plot and added these smoothers, we have two geomes. We have the point and the smooth. And when we defined our aesthetic over here, we defined all of these aesthetics globally. So it used X as body mass. It used bill length for Y when it created this scatter plot and when it fit these models. It used X and Y for both the scatter plot and for fitting the model. And when it fit the model, it fit three different models because we have three different colors of points. We have three different sets of points that we set for three different colors. So it found three different colored models, one for each species. So it did this consistently. It passed those aesthetics into both the point and the smooth geome. If instead I were to create a very similar looking plot with this code cell, so I have penguins, I'm going to map body mass to the X aesthetic, bill length is going to go to the Y aesthetic. Okay, but now I'm going to make a change, and species and shape, I'm only going to pass as an aesthetic mapping into the point geome, and I'm not going to pass them globally. So that means this mapping is not getting passed into the geome smooth. So the only mapping which is getting passed into the geome smooth is the global mapping that we defined in ggplot. So this is the only mapping which is getting sent down to the geome smooth. And you just might want to ask yourself, like, before I run this code cell, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you think is going to be the difference between running this code cell and what happened up here? So the scatter plot shouldn't change because we're actually passing all of the same things into the scatter plot, X, Y, color, and shape. But the smooth is going to change because we're only passing X and Y and not color and shape. So since the color and shape are not getting passed into the smooth, just X and Y, the smoother is not going to see the species at all. It's not going to treat the points any differently based on the species. It's only going to see X and Y. So it's going to treat all of these points as if they were just one species. So when we run this, we're just going to get one linear model that it has. It just chose blue. I don't know why it chose blue, but it just fit one model, and that model is the best model that fits all of these points. So this is what we would get if we used local aesthetic mapping, and this is what we get when we passed species as a global aesthetic mapping. So just keep that in mind. There are two ways that we can define these aesthetic mappings. Globally, it gets passed to all of the geomes, but we can specify some of them globally, some of them locally. So we can really fine tune these plots really nicely. These are highly customizable about how we pass the aesthetics through all of the geomes or just some of them. Okay, so this is a good place to end this video before we pick up and start the next video with a question about how we can kind of take a nice base plot with a nice smoother on it and then add some layers to customize the look of the plot. So we'll stop this video here and pick up the next video with the next question. Thanks.